everybody, this is Tana from Proverbial Homemaker, and I'm just coming on live for a few minutes to tell you all about loop scheduling. A few days ago, I posted a new blog post about loop scheduling and how we use it in our homeschooling and our homemaking and in my blogging as well and in some projects. And I had a lot of people download that printable. You can download, the printable has a loop schedule sort of template that you can use for homemaking, homeschooling, and then just a generic one for any sort of project you might want to do. So go to proverbialhomemaker.com, and that's the latest post, so you can go ahead and get that download and print it out. I had several emails of people just asking, okay, how do I use this now? How do, I have this printable, how do I use it in my homemaking? How do my kids use it in their homeschooling? And then I had a couple people ask about blogging too. And I don't normally talk about blogging much, and I don't blog about it at all, but I actually have some good tips and ideas that I've learned over time on how to use loop scheduling for blogging, and it really helps me manage my time. So I don't know if we're going to be able to cover all of that in this video. I have an infant that is napping right now, but you know how that goes. He could wake up at any minute. So if that happens, we'll just wrap up whatever we're talking about at the moment, and I will just come back on a little bit later. And then of course at the end of the replay, when I post the replay, I'll put links to all the things I'm talking about, to any part 2 or part 3 videos depending on how the infant does, and you'll have it all in one place. And then tomorrow I'll be sending out a post that summarizes everything we talked about here, has links to the printable, and I'm also going to be uploading some new material to the Proverbial Homemaker Planner and the Relaxed Mom Homeschooling Planner and e-course that you can find in my store that relates to the material that we're going to talk about now. So I think Elliot just woke up, so Daddy's going to try to comfort him a little bit so we can chat. But so I'm going to get started talking about that. So let's see here. The baby's distracting me. He's so cute. So loop scheduling. Okay, you guys know that I have sort of this love-hate relationship with planners. I love planners. I love to get planners, have the new planner. I love to fill all the things out, and then I just kind of tend to abandon it within a few days to a week. And I know a lot of you can relate to that too. So I've tried a lot of different systems. I've come up with a Proverbial Homemaker planner and e-course that you can get in my store that kind of simplify and make things a little bit more streamlined and relaxed and aren't so rigid. They follow a more a rhythm, like a weekly rhythm, and sort of more of a routine-based system instead of a rigid schedule, because that's what I need in my life. And the Relaxed Mom Homeschooling Planner and e-course are similar. They have a more relaxed approach to planning and tracking and everything that I really enjoy. Over the past few years, I have learned to adapt to loop scheduling, and it's something I naturally sort of fell into with homeschooling because of just my personality. I just don't do rigid schedules at all. I just don't do well, as I said. Loop scheduling is a way of organizing your work into a rotating list. It's really that simple. So if you are trying to follow a planner or trying to organize your work and you feel like you're just trying to cram too much stuff into your day and it never gets done, or you feel like maybe you've tried block scheduling. I used to try block scheduling for my homemaking, for example, where I'd say, okay, every Tuesday I'm going to tidy the bedrooms. Every Wednesday I'm going to wash the windows. I had this great alliteration thing going on, and it worked for me for a long time. But then what I realized is if I didn't do the windows on Wednesday, I would sort of freeze up. It was some psychological thing where I'd be like, oh, now I'm behind. I didn't do the windows on Wednesday, or I didn't thoroughly clean the bedrooms on Thursday, or whatever it was. And pretty soon I would just abandon that plan as well. Loop scheduling is something I started with homeschooling, actually, because we needed a way to know that I was making progress with the work that we were doing without being locked into those blocks of time. Because if we didn't get it used to be if we didn't get our history done and our science and all the reading, writing, math, then I felt like we were failing or we were falling behind, and kind of productivity tanked from there. So what I started doing is just creating a list and work through a couple of them every day, and it really worked. And then a few years later, I read this book that many of you probably already know, by Sarah Mackenzie, called Teaching from Rest. And it's about homeschooling. And she talks about loop scheduling in her book, and I didn't even know it had a term. So, I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh yeah, we do that. But I learned so many great little nuggets that I could apply to our homeschool and how I was doing loop scheduling to make it more effective and productive. And then pretty soon, over time, that was so successful in our homeschool that I started doing the same thing in my homemaking, and then I started doing the same thing in my blogging, and my productivity just went through the roof, and I was able to manage my time more better, which is always, a struggle. So loop scheduling has become pretty critical for us. And I love it because it's flexible, and I'm never behind, ever. I'm always making progress. I don't have to worry about being perfect or being on schedule all the time, because I'm always moving forward. And if we get sick for a few days, no big deal. When we get back on track, we just do the next thing, which is really refreshing. So I'm going to show you the 3 areas that I use loop scheduling in most, and I'll start with homemaking. I'm going to show you these. You probably can't read them really well, but again, you can download these. But this is the homemaking one, and we've just had a baby, and I'm just the recovery's been a little slow, so I'm just now getting back into life and routines and everything. So I'm redoing all the routines with, less productivity in mind, and needing to tend to the baby and needing to have more rest in my life, which isn't my forte, but it's important. So I'm building it in. So this is the homemaking routine. I created a new one just so you can see, and I may take a screenshot of this and post it in the comments so you can see it better later. But basically, we have our daily do's and our loop-de-loos, and my kids know those terms, and it's a little ridiculous, but you will remember it, and they will remember it. So I have my daily do's at the top, and my loop-de-loos at the bottom, and a space for notes. And my daily do's are just things that I absolutely have to do every day, or everything just falls apart. I don't put things in there like shower, although some days maybe I should. But what I have in here now is really simple and really basic for the season of life I'm in right now. At the bottom, I put tidy my sink and kitchen. I really like to have, if possible, my sink and my kitchen, like the counters and stuff, just cleared and tidy, and hopefully the dishes washed out, although I don't always make it. But I put that at the bottom just so I remember at the end of the day to check that off last. And right now I've left these blank, and in the morning we do our morning chores. Our whole family does morning chores, and my morning chore right now is just kind of a quick clean of the downstairs bathroom because it just gets nasty. And then the other 2 things I really want to have done every day are sweep all the downstairs where we have Pergo, and then spot clean the downstairs, spot clean the floors, spot clean the chairs, because kids are messy. And that's not our deep cleaning, that's just stuff we do every day. And then the loop-de-loos, the way these work, so you can see, every day I'm checking these off, the things I've done. The loop-de-loos are things that you want to have happen at some point in the near future, like 2 or 3 weeks out, but they don't have to all happen today. So what I do is I write down the list of things I want to have happen and kind of mentally think the order I want it to go in. And then I pick a frequency. So right now I'm just doing 1 a day because that's what I can handle. So the first thing I have is mop downstairs. So let's say Monday I do all my daily do's and then I mop downstairs, check the list, and I'm done. The next day I do all my daily do's and I deep clean the downstairs bathroom because it's nasty. And then I move on. And then I do all my daily do's the next day and I organize the toys and books. It's the things that I really, really want to, that I know if they're done, they kind of promote peace in my home and in me, and I end up being a better mom because I'm not all stressed out. These are things that I've learned that if they're tidy, just generally, not every day, but just generally, that our life goes better. Our homeschooling goes better. We are more at peace. There's not books everywhere. There's not toys everywhere. The other things I have on here are sanitizing the surfaces, the doorknobs and the, light switches and stuff like that. Or mopping downstairs again. So let me show you. So I have vacuuming. You probably can't see this. So right now, my loop includes mop downstairs, and then there's some tasks, and I have mop downstairs again here, and then there's some tasks. So I mop downstairs twice during this loop. This loop might take me 2 weeks to get through, but I've mopped once a week, and for us right now that's pretty good. As long as I'm sweeping every day, mopping once a week is sufficient for us. So you would set this up and kind of play with it and see how many loop-de-loos you wanted to do every day, what the rotation should be like. If you're like, you know, I need to mop more than this, then you would just put another mopping in there. I know some of you are going to say, there are not enough spots for all the things I need to do. So this is not an exhaustive list of everything you do in your life every day with homemaking. These are the things you have to do every day, and I found keeping the list short really helps with that, because if you're like me, I like to write these massive lists of everything I want to do, and then, like I said, I tend to get overwhelmed and then none of it gets done. So keeping it short, rotating through, keeping it simple, remembering that I don't have to get it right the first time. I can just tweak and adjust and play with it. In the notes, I just recently redid my looping schedule for homemaking, and for all of them actually. So in the notes I put down our home blessing day, which I'll mention, well, I'll tell you about it now, I guess. Our home blessing day is every Saturday. The kids and I spend, our homeschooling time is more for like life skills and baking and cooking and those kind of things. And we also take that time to kind of do a little bit more maintenance work on the house. So I just wrote down notes here so I'd remember that these were already covered. Things like catching up on the laundry and cleaning the bedrooms that get kind of messy, or restocking the bathrooms and things like that, or wiping the windows. And I also put down here, get a new mop, because I need a new mop. So that is how I do my homemaking routine. And this has been added to the Proverbial Homemaker Planner and e-course, so you can look at it there. And I also want to say, before I go any further, if you have purchased or end up purchasing either of those systems, the homemaking one or the homeschooling one, and you need help coming up with a loop that kind of works for you, I will help you get started. You just can email me and we can work together. And obviously I don't know your family and your personality, but I can get you started and give you some ideas. And I also had a reader email me and ask if there were examples, like if I could give examples for homemaking and homeschooling. You know, if you have if you work outside the home, this is an example, or if you're a homeschooling mom, here's an example. I haven't done that, but that's a fantastic idea, so I'm going to work on that and try to get it uploaded to those planners and e-courses this month, and I will email you all when those are ready. So that is homemaking. If you have, yes, somebody said there's a glare on the page, so I'll make sure I put it in the comments after. I'm sorry. It's really bright outside right now. So the next one is homeschooling. For homeschooling, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the thing that I started loop scheduling with, and it was a huge blessing. And so we still use it. We have, if you download the printable, there's one for students and one for you as a mom. And I probably use the one for students most often, but you can use the one for the mom too. So in the mom one, you would have your daily do's, and those are just, again, things that you need to do every day. Like you might put in correcting work. I don't know why, but for some reason I can so easily forget to correct my kids' work, and then the next day I'm like, just do the next one, or I have to stop everything and correct their work. And so, you know, you put that on your daily do. You might say prep for the next day. You might put in there, you know, work with the preschooler, things that your kids won't do independently. It kind of depends on how your homeschool's set up and what your kids' ages are, but just things you want to do every day. And then in the loop, you would put things that you want to get done over time, but not necessarily all in one day. So my loop might look like tidy the papers, or file the old papers from last week's lessons, or prepare for next week, or sometimes I need to go back and look at my quarterly plan and make sure we're on track. So I might put that in my loop. Or there's always some curriculum I want to research, and there's always some, you know, question I have. And so if I just kind of keep a list of those on the side of my loop checklist and then put in my loop research, then I have a spot for that in my life where I can spend an hour that day researching and I don't get completely sidetracked. I could research for days and hours, but this kind of keeps me on track. So that's that. I don't have that here right now, or I'd show you. The next one is my son. So my oldest is 9, and loop scheduling works for homeschooling all the way up through all the ages. And of course it'll look different. The loops and the dailies will look different depending on your child's age and what your curriculum is, but it will work for any age. My oldest is 9, and so he does a lot more independent work now, and then my next one is 7, and she's just starting to do more independent work, but probably not enough to warrant a worksheet or a loop right now. But my oldest is definitely benefiting from it. And what I do is I print these out and I fill them in, and then every day after our morning chores, he will come down and take his list and start working through it. And he knows exactly that he has to do all the daily do's and check them off, and he has to do 2 of the loop-de-loos and check those off. And of course I'm available for questions, but those are the things that he can do. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what our homeschool day looks like so you can see how this fits in and how it might work for yours. So in the morning we get up and we eat breakfast and we do Bible time during breakfast, and then we do our memory work all together, and we do a little bit of reading that I might hook in from a read aloud that I really like, or something that hooks in from some other subject we're working on or topic we're exploring or whatever. And that's kind of our morning time together. And then we all break, we clean up from breakfast, and then we go do our morning chores. The kids all have their one main chore that they go work on. I go clean out the downstairs bathroom. And then the olders come back and they start working on their independent lists. And my 9-year-old gets his daily do's and loop-de-loos and starts working through them. And then I spend some time trying to pay attention to the younger kids and kind of spend some time with them while the olders are working through their independent studies. And so I'll hold this up again just in case somebody can see it, but I'll definitely put it in the comments. So right now, this is fresh, and so my son will doodle on it and he'll write on it, and we'll change things all the time, and he'll check off his list. So every day he checks off everything that I have filled in for him to do, and then I filled in his loop, and he does 2 of them a day right now. So like in my homemaking, when I do 1 a day, he does 2 of his loop-de-loos a day. So right now, for example, my 9-year-old does his independent Bible study, he does a reading lesson, a language arts lesson, his map work, handwriting, and then math and drills. And of course I'm interacting with him on these, but he knows the next thing to do. I let him kind of go around and pick which ones he wants to do, but I put it in the order that I think he'll enjoy most, that will be most motivating for him. And then of course I let him take, he'll take a break between the subjects, but he can be fairly motivated now, finally, after about a year, to get through his things early so that he can play later. So once he's done with that, he picks the next 2 things on his loop-de-loo list. So his loop list right now, again, is pretty simple because of just starting back up our routines. But the first thing he does is a piano lesson, then inquiry. Inquiry in our home is just the older kids pick a topic or a subject or an animal or something like that, and they spend that inquiry time researching, reading books that they've gotten from the library on it. They fill in notebooking pages that we have from notebookingpages.com. And then at the end of whatever period, basically when I decide they're finished, they present it to their dad. And so that's what inquiry is, in case you were wondering. So he does piano lesson and then some time on his inquiry. The next day he'll do piano practice, and then creative writing, then piano lesson and recitation. So I designed the loop so that every day he's doing piano, and then he's doing a subject that we don't need to do every day, but I want him to do during the course of the week or over the course of 2 weeks. And he just goes down and checks it, and that's it. And when it gets all crazy, or when it's, we've messed with it too much, or when all the check boxes are filled, we just fill out a new one. It's a good time for us to evaluate what's working and what's not. And, he can provide input, and then we move on. So at the bottom, we also added a little thing that just says what I'm reading. So it says what he's working on and what he's reading. And then I'll add notes in there, like his inquiry right now is sharks, and he has to present it by February 1st. And then this gets, I like to keep these, so I tend to put them in his yearly binder of work. I do keep track of what work they do, like which math lesson, what they've completed and everything in our Relax Mom Homeschool Planner, but he doesn't really need to know that. He just needs to do the next thing. So that's his work list. And let's see, did I miss anything with the homeschooling? No, that's pretty much it. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm not really paying attention to the comments and questions, but feel free to comment and ask questions, and I will get to it after I post the replay. And I'll also include it in the blog post. So then the next thing that I was asked about is if I use loop scheduling for blogging. And I do. And as I said, I don't talk about blogging or blog about blogging. I'm no expert at blogging, but I have become pretty good at managing my time with blogging and not letting it overrun the rest of my life. It's a constant, balancing act. I'm constantly thinking about it and talking about it and trying to make sure, but, my primary job is being mom, wife, homemaker. Blogging is secondary. It's fun. It blesses our family. It's a ministry, but it needs to have its place. And my job is to make sure that it has its proper place in my priorities and in my schedule. So daily do's and loop-de-loos really helps with that. So every day, it looks I'll just show you really quick. It looks exactly the same as the other ones. It just has the daily do and the loop-de-loo, and then at the bottom I think I have a spot for notes. It's not complicated, but which is what I need, right? So in my daily do's, I know I want to, again, you just want to put the things there that you want to do every day. So every day I'll check my email, and I'll try to delete them or reply to them. I'll make sure I pay a little bit more attention to companies I'm working with and to readers who write in, and make sure I give them some personal attention. I want to do some of the social media things that fit my current goals. Like right now I'm trying to venture into Stumble Upon, which is interesting. So I want to spend a few minutes on that every day. I want to do my share threads every day. I want to touch base with my VA if needed. I want to interact on groups and pages. We have a really active domestically challenged divinely equipped Facebook group, and I could probably spend all day in there just chatting with those amazing ladies, but I just try to go in, say hello, make sure I'm, paying attention and engaging with those ladies, but I don't want to spend all day, so I put it on my list and check it off and move on. And then I might pop in and ask questions like I did yesterday, like, how do I cook these potatoes? I have no idea, and they all help. Or what mop can I get? I love that group. Anyway, and then probably so those are just really light things. Those just take like 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes. The one that takes the most, I think eventually I'm going to have to write a blog post about this so that other bloggers can kind of see which time management tips I've gleaned from all the other resources I found. But the biggest one is set a timer for 30 to 60 minutes and write or brainstorm, one of those activities. If I have an idea for a certain blog post, or if I have a deadline and I just need to get it done, or if it's something that I know I need to do, but I'm kind of losing interest in it, but I just need to get it done. So I just set aside time. For me, it's usually during nap time or after the kids go to bed. Set it for 30 to 60 minutes and just write. And then later I can come back and edit it and add images or whatever. And that, along with this checklist system, this looping system, are the two things that give me the most productivity in my blogging. So those are my daily do's. I don't always get to the 30 to 60 minutes of writing or brainstorming or whatever, because life happens and babies happen. But let's see. Amy says she missed the first 23 minutes. Yes, it's okay. I will post the replay. You'll be able to see all of it. So that's my daily do's for blogging. And then my loop-de-loos is probably the best thing that has ever happened in my blogging, because if you're a blogger, you know that there's like a zillion things that you could be paying attention to. And thousands of things that you could be putting your time into, and it's really easy to get distracted, and then pretty soon you're not being really productive, or you've picked up this training thing, and I'm guilty of that. So the loop-de-loos have helped me because I write in a loop of the things I want to accomplish at some time but aren't critical right now. So every day I do my daily do's, and then I do one thing from my loop-de-loos. So the things that are in mine right now are, one day I'll work on Tailwind Tribes and scheduling. One day I'll load up my Meet Edgar and for Facebook and Twitter, which I've been kind of lazy getting that set up. It takes a lot of time up front, but it's worth it for me over time, but I need to spend some time ahead of time doing that. So that's for one day. I'll have one day where all I'm doing is working on a product, either improving a current product I provide in my store or developing a new one or a new freebie. Those are kind of what I mean by products. Freebies or things sold in my store. And I'll just set aside one day for it. That's all I'm doing that day, is that. Because that way I know I've made progress on it and I'm not getting too distracted by all the other things. Then maybe I'll work on SEO tasks one day, and I'm really weak in that area, so that's a goal for me for 2017. I think it's incredibly boring, but the more I learn about it, the more interesting it is, so I'm hoping that will help me, but I need to pay attention to that area, so I have it on my loop. I have one day where I work on just affiliate work, whether it's working with my affiliates or working as an affiliate for somebody else, making sure my links are updated, scheduling in some promotions and posts, making sure that I'm up to date on all the sales coming up, that I can relay to my readers to make sure they don't miss it, things like that. Same thing with sponsor. I put sponsors in a separate category or a separate day just so I can pay attention and focus on the work I do for them. I do some online volunteer work, so I set aside a day for that. And then one day I set aside for brainstorming new products, anything relating to planning and doing an editorial calendar. So that's all one task. And it takes me about an hour if I'm focused and I set that timer. So that's what my daily do and loop-de-loos. Most bloggers right now are probably working on your annual goals or your monthly goals. And so this is a really great tool to download and to give it a try. Try setting up daily do's, what things can I do every day that will meet my goals, that will help me meet my goals? What things do I want to get done, and kind of methodically go through them and not miss them. So that is looping for bloggers. And let's see, what else? I think that's about it. So that is loop scheduling for homemaking, homeschooling, blogging. You can use the blogging or the generic daily do and loop-de-loo list that I put in isn't a blogging specific one. You can use that for whatever you do. If you have any sort of home business, if you just have a big project you want to do, like an add-on to your house or building a garden this summer or whatever, you can use that daily do and loop-de-loo list for that. It is really easy to just print off. You can write your basic goals in the notes column and then just start plugging in your daily task and your looping task, and it will keep you moving forward. You will be so much less likely to abandon your work and more likely to get it done. That's been my experience anyway. So I hope that helps. Please feel free to email me or add a message at the end of this, and I will make sure that I comment on it later. Thanks. Bye.